This is Holly.
This is Shelby.
I have a new co host today, a guest co host. Christy was not able to join us today. We are a sister duo, though. Together, we have conversations we weren't having anywhere else. So, if you've been asking yourself, is this it? Pull up a chair. This is Henlet's Collective. And when we say pull up a chair, because something feels off about tipping lately. Today's podcast is going to be about the tipping culture in America. Has it gotten out of control? Shelby is my daughter who works at a national chain restaurant, and her wages are reliant on tips. But what about when I just go to the takeout counter, pick it up myself, and then leave? Does that require a tip? Does going into a coffee shop require a tip? What about ordering off a self-service menu? Does that require a tip? Tipping is not what it used to be back, I'll say the olden days, but has it gotten out of control? We tip for everything now. And it used to mean based on a great service. And wages are high, much higher now than they were, but everything is comparable. We have high inflation, so wages will never account for the inflation. And so tipping comes into play. But what if you don't service me? Do you still require a tip? So that's what we are here to discuss. Now, when I go into a restaurant and I sit down, somebody is seating me, like a hostess is seating me. They offer me a menu. I'm sitting at a table. I fully expect when I go into that restaurant that I will be, I wouldn't say required. It's never required. Or is it required? But I'm going to say required to pay a tip. It starts at the beginning. So did the hostess seat me right away? Were they pleasant? Did they welcome me? You look at all the different factors involved that go into a sit-down restaurant. What about if I'm with a party of, say, 30 people, even 10 people? Should the bill already include the tipping? Should each person individually be required to tip? I don't know. It's probably going to be one of those debates that nobody will ever be right. So how do you know what's acceptable and what's not? Well, let's talk about this stuff. So when we tip, and I'm going to use Shelby, who works as a server, as a waitress, even as a bartender a lot of times, where she services customers that are sitting down asking her for her service. I fully expect to tip based on that service. Now, do we say 10%? Do we say 20%? Do we say 25%? Even when you go to pay, the checks or the little iPads that people sometimes have that restaurants use to pay out have preordained tip amounts. Do you select one of those? I don't know, but we're going to talk with Shelby. She's going to give us all the deets. But what I was going to say was the tipping that works for her, and I'm sure it's similar in other restaurants where you sit down, where there's multiple people that get a percentage of those tips. So it's not just one person collecting tips. Percentage of that server's tips goes to pay their cooks, their bartenders, their runners, their hostess. It goes to pay multiple people. So it's not just one person getting that money that you're providing. And the other debate is, well, restaurants should be paying competitive wages that include the tipping. So this is what we're here to discuss. Let's discuss.
I want to preface this by saying, before this gets any further, that tipping is optional. It is never a requirement. However, if you tip, I believe personally that your tip should be based on the service that is provided, but their service as a whole, not just your waiter, but like, like Holly said, did the hostess greet me on time? Uh, was the quality of the food good? Was this restaurant clean? Were the bathrooms clean? And if your service was bad, was it busy? How many people were working? A lot of things kind of go into play. It's kind of a whole thing, but tipping is not a requirement. I think, however, though, if you are a party of 8 or more, you should actually tip based on the whole bill combined before it's ever split. And yes, your employer should be paying you a livable wage, but that's not going to happen in America. California has the highest paid minimum wage in the whole country. However, it does not cover the cost of living. So that is why tipping it's such a big thing. It it covers that extra cost. However, for where I work, our tip out, which again, yes, goes to your runners, so the people who do bring you your food, most of the time, your busser, the people that are cleaning your table, your bartender, your cooks, your dishwashers, and yes, your hosts. It's based on your overall sales. So my restaurant in particular, we tip out all of our card tips. So any tips that we make on credit card at the end of the day is based on our overall sales. We tip out 7%. So let's say I make $200 on card for the night. And my sales were, we'll say, $1,800. I'm going to see maybe, we'll say, about $95, maybe 100. So I don't see half, or I barely see half. Another thing too, cash is king. Cash will always be king. If you're gonna tip, I always recommend that you tip based on or in cash. It goes a lot further. I don't have to split as much, but yes, your employer should be paying you a livable wage. But again, it's just not gonna happen.
So what do we think? So based on that statement, what do we think about all the debate that's happening? Because you and I both watch a lot of videos where the debate goes back and forth.
I see it from both sides, obviously. I mean, when I go out, I do tip based on service. I think that's fair. But I don't think if you do a takeout order, especially if you order it online yourself, don't tip unless it's a big, big order. If you're spending more than $100 and it's kind of a lot, if you could tip 5, 10 bucks, I think that's nice. But no, I don't really think you should tip really for takeout. However, if you put alcohol into play, whether that is one drink or 10, I definitely think you should be tipping. You're getting a service not only from your kitchen, but from your bar as well, including your server.
Now, if the employer were to pay you, let's call it a livable wage, but we're saying wages that includes a tip amount that you would normally. So I wouldn't know what that translates to an hour because every place is different, right?
Yes.
But and every employee makes it different.
Mhm.
But obviously, some days you bring home more, and some days you bring home less. That's just a given.
Every day is its own entity.
Correct. But what I'm saying is, if the employer were to pay you that amount in your wages, that cost is going to translate to the customer because now we have to pay more for the food and the service.
It goes hand in hand.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
If you want your employer to pay you more, that's great. Absolutely. But that just means that your meal is going to go up in price significantly.
so when people say the tipping culture in America is out of control, does that mean that, we should be tipping everybody or we shouldn't be tipping everybody? Or
I think it just depends on the scenario.
so we're still talking kind of service here. So because you're saying, based on service and all the people that like the hostess and we'll just say the bathrooms. I mean,
But yeah,
I've never tipped based on bathroom cleanliness, but I get that. But, let's say you get a bad service. What do you do? Do you tip?
no.
Do you lessen it to say, let's say 10% instead of your usual 20% based on a $50 bill? Because going out is not cheap anymore, regardless. And like I said, even if you get, especially if you get alcohol, then you're already up in the cost. So bad service, you say no on tipping. How many times have you provided great service and still not gotten a tip?
Actually, yeah, fair point. But I think when it comes to something like that, I think people that don't tip based on amazing service, regardless, I think it's those people that believe that your employer should be paying you as well. Or
So,
paying you more.
yeah. So let's continue kind of along the lines of service then, because let's say you do self checkout or places that require a tip before you've even gotten anything, before you've gotten the service and you're paying for the bill, but they ask you for a tip.
What do you mean?
So when you go to pay for something, let's say a self checkout. So let's do like an online order
Oh, okay, yeah.
or something like that where you go and they ask you to provide a tip, but you haven't gotten anything yet.
That is a great point because let's say you do order something online and and you go to pay and it asks for gratuity, things like that. And you go and you pick it up. Oh, that the employee that helped you, really great, super nice. Obviously, they don't really have control too much over your food quality. However, I think they should obviously be checking it, but not everybody's perfect. But and you get home, my burger is raw on the inside. I didn't receive this. I didn't receive this. I wanted this, not that. Like yesterday, I had gotten a call last night. This lady, she's disabled, so she ordered food to go. She ordered through DoorDash or like Goodreads, something like that. And okay, well, that's not really a great example because if you tip through a third party service, you don't, the employee at the restaurant doesn't get the tip. But besides the point, she ordered food, she got her food, she got drinks and all that, she got her straws, she never received her drinks. And how you forget that is beyond me. And that could have been at the restaurant and it could have been the DoorDasher. You don't know. I didn't help that person, so I can't say.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, if you get home and your order's completely wrong, but you already tipped, that's more of a like, well, what the hell?
do you feel ripped off?
Yeah, exactly. You absolutely. I tipped because I love going to this place. I love this restaurant. I love their food. When I tipped, and this is what I received, this is the quality that I receive. I paid this much and I tipped this, and this is what I get in return. Absolutely. That is a ripoff.
So you're saying about the third party delivery people. So you've seen those I'll just call them horror videos, but where they have dropped off your food order and then they've written a note because they didn't receive a tip or
So wait at your door
something
because you didn't tip them.
And I think that is unacceptable.
I think if you're gonna order anything, whether that is through a restaurant or we'll say like Instacart, like groceries, if you're ordering through a third party service for something to be delivered to your home and somebody is going out of their way to do this for you, you should be tipping. I mean, think about it right now. Gas astronomical.
Yeah.
Just outrageous. Mm-hmm. But somebody went out of their way, used that money, with their gas to go and get you this item or whatever that you requested, so you didn't have to leave the comfort of your home. Obviously, not everybody can afford to tip. Again, it's not a requirement. Of course not. I don't really think it's a requirement anywhere. And if it is, then it's clearly stated. But
is it worth it to write let's just say a nasty note, or you didn't give me a tip, or you didn't give me good service, so you're not getting a tip.
I don't think it's worth it, because what is that going to do for you and the other person? It makes a very horrible experience for both of you. You know, there's no point. There's no point in getting mad over it. I do understand, absolutely. But do you have to be a jerk about it? No.
Right.
Do you have the right to be upset and angry? Absolutely. Absolutely. But do you have to be mean and nasty? No, you don't.
Yeah.
But I get it too.
Yeah. So let's talk about what's acceptable as far as tipping. You know, back when tipping was 10%
Mhm.
based on the actual check amount.
Mhm.
And I know people, close family members, that have used calculators to determine how much to tip.
I hate that too. But I mean, I get it. I get it.
I mean,
It's hard for me because I'm on both sides, because I see it from both sides. I get it. But yeah,
it used to mean for appreciation, good service, clear situations, right?
exactly.
Now it's
Very divided.
it's divided, but also it's, like when you go to sign for a check and it gives you those predetermined amounts.
Mhm.
Do you think that helps people, or does it make them feel obligated to pay any of those amounts?
I think it's helpful, but I do really think that when that pops up, people do feel obligated to tip. I think it does push it in their face, which sometimes is kind of nice. Hey, you're gonna use this little Xeos, this little tabletop tablet to pay, and it gives you that predetermined tip percentage. You know, it's helpful, but yeah, it kind of throws that in your face.
Yeah. And I'm going to use your restaurant as an example. When you go to pay and it gives you the percentages, but it also gives you a custom amount.
Yes.
And you have to click an option or even say no tip. And
Yes.
and now the server's sitting there, no tip. Well, what the heck?
There have been a lot of people as well that have used the tabletop tablet and they pay. And so when that screen pops up, it automatically goes and highlights 20% of your overall check.
Yeah.
Automatically highlights it. And then in a big blue button says to pay. It gives you your full total with that tip included. A lot of people don't see that. They think they have to tap it, whatever. And then when they go to pay, oh, well, I didn't want to tip that. That check has already been closed. You have to go through this whole process to open it. Hey, yeah, I didn't want to tip. I mean, how many times have I been stopped? Busy as hell. Hey, I just paid on this Xeos, but I didn't want to leave a tip. How can I delete that? Oh, well,
Oh,
here, let me help you out.
wow.
I can't really say, well, I mean, sucks for you.
Here's my $20 from my other.
I mean,
That's terrible.
that happens so often.
Oh, wow.
It is horrible. And the thing is too, when you're paying on those Xeos and you have to actually reopen a check, a manager obviously has to do that. That paperwork is horrible at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And our DO, sees all that. Okay, well, why did you reopen this? What happened? This check was closed. Why was this reopened? That's
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah.
So, and well, they didn't want to. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yeah. And then it kind of makes you feel like, okay.
You look at it like, well, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And a lot of people online, especially on TikTok, will go up to these people. Hey, I see that you left this amount, or you didn't leave anything. Can I ask what was wrong? Is there anything wrong with the service?
Right.
Things like that. And you could, I feel. I don't think you probably do it for a chain restaurant, but it sucks. It makes you feel like you did something wrong. Something went wrong to where they did put a tip, but then they're like, no, I kind of don't want to. But they won't tell you anything. They're not going to tell you to your face.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I feel like that's not on the server because what's going to happen is the next time that they come in and you're going to remember them and you're not going to want to service them to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, well, why bother? Because
they're not going to leave me any money.
Exactly. But then on the other hand, that's your job to service.
Boy.
This is a tough debate, I think, because I know, and we say in America, because other countries don't tip.
Yes, absolutely. We'll take Japan, for example. If you put money, let's say you go to a restaurant over there, and I'm sure it's like that in other countries, obviously. If you leave money on a table, your waiter will chase you down to give you your money back because they don't accept tips unless they're in a different type of service industry, not necessarily restaurants, but restaurants out there. No, they will literally chase you down and give you back your money. But at the same time, too, they probably make enough in their regular wage to cover that.
Yeah, we don't know. I haven't.
But like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Then how do you determine what's right and what's wrong as far as
you use personal judgment?
Personal judgment. But a lot of people I guess maybe it will always be a debate, but maybe it's becoming more and more of a debate just because of the way inflation is. Because when people go out, maybe they don't have all the money that they would like to spend on something. I mean, we're not talking fine dining here either. We're just talking normal family restaurant.
Yeah. And, you're going to have people that I will tell you too, of people that do work in the service industry. I won't say this because I don't care. Whatever. If you want tip, you want tip, whatever. But, it's a lot of people will tell you, okay, well, if you can't afford to tip, well, don't go out. Well,
right.
Why not?
So that's the other thing, right? So it's,
and I don't believe in that. If I will say again, if you are a big party, yes, and you should be tipping based on your overall check combined before to split.
Even a $5 tip or something.
You did just something. No, you don't have to tip, obviously, your 18%. But just something, because then at that point, okay, well, you can't say I didn't give you anything, or I didn't give you nothing.
Because we do, and I say we, you and I, because you pay for the bills. But we do rely on your tips because your paycheck is not enough to cover bills. And you make minimum wage based on California standards, but you don't make fast food wages, which are not tipped.
But an hour to flip burgers. I hate that.
You make less because you make a hospitality California rate. So to make that up, now you're being tipped. It's definitely.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I hate that. Fast food workers, I think it was McDonald's, they went on a huge freaking strike so that way they could be paid more. You don't need a freaking high school diploma or anything. You could be a freaking middle school dropout, work at McDonald's, and you get paid $20 an hour.
I don't know about that, but
no, you do. You get paid. You get paid more than a restaurant worker. For what?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
You're not providing a service. You're not providing a continuous service, a hospitality experience.
Yeah.
And you're getting paid more.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
But again, based on the amount that you do get tipped, does it translate to more with your tips? I don't know. Now, let's talk about some of the large groups that come in, because not once has anybody ever tipped you worth the amount of large checks
No.
that you get and you barely get, so people are already paying $200. Now you can't pay at least $20 on a tip.
How are you gonna have a, you know what? I think it was Thursday night when I was in the bar. I had a party at 12. It started out with just 8, and they kept coming in. They took up my whole entire big, huge table, the only big table I have in the bar, and their check was over $300.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And no
Over
tip.
300, and that's combined. They split it 12 ways. Every single person was on their own check, and it was busy. It took me forever to get everything split up, not to mention all my other tables needed attention. Okay, so their check is over $300. I saw $30, $30 for you to take up, a majority of my time. You keep me from my other tables that I can't take care of them. And in that time, I can't take care of this one who did need something. And he came up to me and was like, "Oh, I wasn't sure if you still worked here or not. I haven't seen you."
Oh,
Yeah. Oh,
Ah.
yeah. So that was great.
yeah.
But like, and
Groups always take up a huge amount of time.
and when you keep sending your server back for multiple things and they can't, I mean, come on. And then you don't even make the time worth it.
Yeah. But so you're saying they split it, but should large groups be included on one check and plus a tax or a gratuity tax?
I think gratuity should be, I think you should have auto gratuity of 18% on parties of 8 or more.
Uh-huh.
That's what I believe. And 18% is very, very minimal. I think that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of restaurants in the country where their system will not even physically let them split the check.
Yeah.
I wish we did that. There's Zelle, there's Cash App, PayPal, there's all these money transferring systems that you could use.
Yeah. So in that regard, do you think groups should pay more just because of the type of service that it requires to help them?
Pay more? You mean like just tip?
Uh-huh.
I think you should be tipping. Yes, I mean if you're a large group. But again, you should, your group as a whole should be chipping in enough to cover at least 18%.
Yeah.
If each person just put in $5,
Mm-hmm.
$3,
Mm-hmm.
$8,
Mm-hmm.
blah 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 blah. That's all you need. But again, the argument would stand. Okay, well, if you can't afford a $3 tip on your, or a $5 tip on your $80 tab, well, why'd you go out?
Yeah. So what about let's say you're not a national chain, but like a little mom and pop shop, restaurant. Do you think the employers, if they were responsible for the employee's paycheck, they could afford to pay that employee that amount?
Well, if you're a mom and pop shop like that, if you're not a chain, and it would sound like you probably wouldn't make enough to cover that loss of tips.
Correct.
Minimum wage.
So then what makes a national chain different in that regard?
Well,
So,
I mean, national chain, you're making billions of dollars every year
well, yeah, but you're,
to pay your 100,000 employees.
yeah, but what's the difference? Whether,
I think it's you as the consumer to understand where you're going, how it works. Okay, I'm going to this mom and pop shop. I know that they probably don't make enough money, blah, 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 blah. Here's like $5, whatever. You're going to a chain restaurant. Oh, well, I have to tip. Okay, sure, whatever.
so we went to a mom and pop shop restaurant last week, and we had a largish bill.
127.
Yeah.
And I tipped $30 in cash.
And so,
Oh, but apparently that was too much.
yeah, so some people thought that 25% was too much of a tip. So who's right and who's wrong?
I think who's ever paying the bill is right.
Yeah.
If you're paying for that bill or whatever, I don't need comments from anybody else.
Right. So
if you don't put down your card, you don't get an opinion.
I mean, yeah,
I feel like that's fair. If you're not gonna throw in this or that, whatever, no.
But so let's talk about this. So on the flip side, we were asked to tip for a service that was not yet provided, and you're already paying them their fee. And so what difference does it make who we tip, when we tip, what we tip? At least with the restaurant, we could see what we were getting and received. Now, this other service, we hadn't seen, we were just expecting to get a service after the fact, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to figure out what difference does it make whether we paid a 25% service fee to a person that serviced us or a 20% fee to someone that hadn't serviced us on a that we hadn't yet even seen, that we were just expecting them to. So I'm trying to wrap my mind around.
But again, too, depends on where you are. And it really just depends on personal preference. Obviously, like I said, tipping is not a requirement. I do feel that no matter where you go, it is expected, but it's not a requirement. I don't like that people just expect to get tipped. Well, why?
Yeah.
I understand that you did this for them, you did that for them. You were outstanding. Okay, well, doesn't mean you're gonna get anything from it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying also too is, like I said previously, people don't realize where, and I'm using you as an example because it's everybody in that works with you, where their money goes to. It's not just you. It's not just you getting that money.
But that's why I said too, if you do tip, it is based on service, food quality, cleanliness, things like that. I mean, why would, if you go into a restaurant and it's freaking filthy, I don't want to tip, and I sure as heck don't want to come back if this is what it looks like.
Okay, so remember the restaurant that we went to, let's say a month or two ago, and we went in and it completely smelled like just sewage, and it was so off-putting that I could barely eat dinner.
Oh, yeah. That's horrible. That is a horrible experience because it makes you not want to be there.
I haven't been back since.
Yeah.
Because that was not, but we still tipped our server because that was a kind thing to do. It wasn't her fault that.
Well, that and I'm a server.
Well, yeah, but other servers who tip other servers aren't always as generous as you either. Mm-hmm. Would you say you are more generous than most?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it was, I don't know if it was like last year, like 2 years ago, but I did a little girls' night. We went to a Mexican restaurant, whatever. My check wasn't really all that high for where we were. It might have been, I think, like 120, 130, I don't know, something like that. That's kind of typical for a party of what, four people, I think. And I tipped my waiter $100. Now, of course, looking back now, I don't think I should have done that, but I don't care. My money, do what I want. But the service that I personally received at my table, my other friends there, they did not receive the service. They were treated amazingly. So this didn't make sense. But I got treated like trash. I was trying to order more stuff, and she's asking everybody else, and then she walks away when I'm trying to speak. But I was like, okay, whatever. But I was already planning to do what I did long before. I was like, okay, well, whatever. I don't care.
Well, if you're basing on service,
I understand. But I'm different. Leave me alone.
but I do believe in karma, and I believe in getting what you get.
And with that, yeah, I have received that before. I have received $100 tips. It's amazing. It feels
Right.
great. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
But no, I should not have done what I did.
Yeah.
But that's okay. As I learned. But otherwise, yes, I do tip based on my service, things like that. I mean, when we went to BJ's, when was that? I don't know. A year ago, whatever it was. We waited an hour to be sat. It wasn't terribly busy. I mean, but besides the point, whatever. We waited an hour just to get a table. We got this tiny little thing, and our waitress sucked. I mean, you could see her against the wall. Literally, I see her standing there talking with somebody, just chopping it up. Meanwhile, it took us 20 minutes to get our bar drinks, our first bar drinks, or just service in general. And yeah, I tip based on that. I think I gave her $5
Yeah.
on a 100 something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you got me messed up if you think you're gonna do that. And you're gonna just freaking stand there when you know I need you, or I'm waiting for this, or I'm waiting for that.
Mm-hmm. So bad service. Should she? I don't feel like no tip, but like you said, maybe a low tip.
Minimal.
Yeah, a minimal tip. But how many times, even when you provided good service, have you gotten no tips?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you've ever sat there and tried to figure out if you didn't get tips and your employer paid the livable wage that would translate to per hour, would that be greater or equal to the $20 an hour of fast food?
Oh, it would be so much more.
It would be more.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
then $20 an hour is not.
We'll take what I make on average. I average about, we'll just say if I'm serving, not bartending, I'm gonna make about guaranteed $100. That's cash and card together, give or take, on average for tips. And me living in California, I make just below 17 an hour. I think it's like $16.90, something like that. So you put that, and then on my 8-hour days, whatever, my $100. So that's what I average $50 an hour. No, 40 something.
No.
Regardless, I make more than.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't always see my card tips.
Yeah, and when you don't make enough tips, you have to pay.
Yes, you owe.
So
which hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts. And if you don't make enough on credit card tips to cover the tip out cost, when you clock in next, whatever you make in tips then gets taken out to make up for last time.
So it's man,
and it hurt. And I've had that happen a handful of times.
Yeah, so
it's either so slow or people don't tip.
Yeah. So it's definitely something to keep in mind when you are going out to a restaurant, what servers have to deal with as far as tipping goes. That's why tipping culture in America, yes, it may have gone too far in the sense that if you're doing self-checkout or you're going, just running in and grabbing something and leaving, or a drink or something, I don't tip.
No.
But if you are going to a sit-down place where they service you, then yes, please expect to pay the tips. It just makes sense. But also, keep in mind of what the servers have to go through with the tip that you are providing.
There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot behind the scenes that people don't understand.
Yeah. So, in closing, I don't think it's about tipping. It's just something about the whole experience that has just changed. I think maybe with social media and the fact that the debate is always going to be now back and forth on this topic, because we all know nobody's ever going to pay a livable wage ever. We're all struggling.
And if they do, the price of everything will increase. The price of your meals at a restaurant, the prices
Yeah.
at your grocery stores, so on and so forth.
Yeah, but I agree with Shelby. Well, in the sense that if you can't afford a tip, then don't go out.
Well, I don't believe that though.
Oh,
I
oh,
don't.
oh.
As other people.
Oh, gotcha.
It doesn't really matter to me. What bugs me the most is when I provide this exceptional service, despite how busy I am. I will make your experience just so incredible and amazing that you come in happy to sit down. Oh, I'm so excited, and you leave better than when you came in, and you don't leave me anything. That's what bugs me. But whatever.
Yeah.
I overcome it. I move on.
So we're just saying be nice to your servers, tip them well,
Tip your server, tip your bartender.
tip your bartender, because when you have to deal with your server, you're probably going to need a drink. And then, But anyways, if you liked today's episode, I appreciate you listening. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for listening, and we'll save you a chair for next time.